do this video because I was asked in a few of the comments last night, would I put a video up telling them a little bit about Chrissy's readings, how I became psychic, all these different things. So I thought, why not get all the questions answered? Feel free to pop your comments below as well. Like, comment and subscribe. Don't forget to do that. Thank you to everyone who liked and commented on last night's case, which was the Jeffrey Epstein case. So how did I realise I was psychic? So first things first, I am 36 just now. I worked for Jet2 at Glasgow and Edinburgh Airport, and before that I was in a recruitment background, and way before that I was in the leisure industry. Now, when I started to work at the airport, I just always five people out. That was the reality, but I just thought everybody was the exact same. My auntie is 86 now. She is also psychic, so it descends within my family. Also, my auntie Sadie's dad was psychic as well. So it's always been within our family. My auntie Sadie's dad never used it. My auntie Sadie did readings in Coatbridge for a lot of years. She was known for word of mouth, which was good as well. Back then there wasn't Facebook and things like that. I was never interested really in psychics as such. I've never really got much validation out of psychics. That was the reality. So it was never really my thing growing up. I didn't mind going for the odd reading if I was invited, but I went out my way to get a reading. That was the reality. And then about 5.5, 6 years ago, I was a night out with my friends, and I knew I had something only because I'd been at the airport working at this point and someone had passed me their passport. I'd checked them in, and as they'd left the desk, I'd said to one of my colleagues, like, that passport was in a really smelly drawer. And she was like, how do you know that? And the penny dropped. I was thinking, are we not all the same? Also, I had been checking in an Ibiza flight, and I'd said to a male passenger, something about pink shorts. I was like, I hope you remembered your pink shorts. I had 2 pair of them, it was something like that, and he actually stopped in his tracks and went, how do you know that? Can you see what's in my case when you're weighing it? And I was like, no. And he started to explain that there was an ongoing issue about these pink shorts. So I remember thinking then as well, so I don't know if it was with working at the airport, meeting different types of people. It was a very fast pace at the airport. Every day was different. One of the best jobs I've ever had. So I don't know if that kind of opened me up. I was always a people watcher. Always observed people's behaviours, been fascinated with people's behaviours and the power of the mind from a young age, but more so for myself, like the law of attraction and constant self-talk and things like that. And then I had a night out with my lovely friend Nicola, and we'd been practising The Secret at this point. Now, Nicola was qualifying to be a history teacher, and I was trying to get my job at Jet2. So we would practice The Secret constantly, saying gratitude to each other, just a reminder, we can do this. When one was having a bad day, the other one was picking the other one up. And it's always good when you're practicing the law of attraction to have a buddy like that. It makes all the difference. Because you can't be positive every day. Circumstance can drag you down as well, and some things are out of your control. So we went a night out, very, very drunk. And when we came back, like, I had started telling her about the airport and all these little things that had happened, and there was also something else that had happened. I came into my house one night, and as I walked into my living room, the fireplace was right ahead of me, and there were 3 Sky remotes. I didn't even know I had 3 Sky remotes, and I remember straight away panicking and the fear in my chest, and I actually went straight back out the house into my car, and I phoned my auntie Sadie, and I was like, this is so weird. But she never said at the time, like, you're psychic or anything like that. She was like, don't worry about it, it's just spirit. Because what happened was, when I moved into that house, it actually turned out it'd been my dad's friend's house who'd actually passed a few years before. And what happened was, I'd been up the stairs one night, again, little drink in me, only drunk at the weekends, just for any Karens out there. And I swear I seen him. So, and he was smiling, he was really, really smiling, but it scared me. So when I moved into this house as well, all these things had started happening. Not scary at the time, but looking back now, not scary. It was just people round about me from spirit, and especially with that house. I had had a dream 6 months before I moved into that house about that house, because I'd visited there when I was small to visit my dad's friend and his wife and baby. And there was an alcove, and I'd had a dream about this alcove, and then the house came up in the market, and there were loads of people in for it, and I thought, I'm never going to get this. And just by luck, I did. About 5 months later, his wife, who'd lived in that house, I actually bumped into, who she knew the neighbour down the stairs. It was all very, very strange, very strange. Bit there, apologies. So when we got back to the house, I said to Nicola, right, I think I'm psychic, and we laughed so much about it. So I was like, I tell you what, I'll give you a reading, and if you can validate, then that's it, I'm psychic, and if you can't validate, I'm not. So she couldn't validate, that was the truth. And we laughed it off, ate our chips and cheese, went to bed, and the Sunday night, she messaged me and went, Christy, you're not going to believe this, you told me something about my dad. And she couldn't validate at the time, but when she went home and told her dad, she said her dad get quite a fright because nobody knew. So I realised at that point, that's not just a fluke, I've got something. But I was very, very scared of it because I had never seen a ghost. Well, I had kind of, but I was terrified of ghosts, terrified of anything to do with spirit. That's the reality. Still am a little bit at times. That's why when people say, you're psychic, why would you be scared? I didn't ask for this. And it certainly wasn't my makeup. I decided to practice a little bit more, start reading for people round about me. But what I didn't realise at the time was reading for people so close to you is actually harder because you're in their heads, because you know their circumstances. It's so much easier to read for a stranger. And in the end, I started just doing little mind tricks in my mind at work for passengers and things like that. And if I got validation in myself, I didn't need validation from anybody else. Nobody knew I was doing it. I just had the validation in myself. And slowly that started to build up. I think knowing my auntie Sadie was psychic was a bit of a driver where this could be possible. I think if I didn't know she was psychic, I don't know if I would have pursued it, because I didn't know if I believed in it or not. That's the reality. Whether I was giving out all these readings and people were giving me validations, and I just had no bloody idea how I'd done it. It's like divine timing. When I was working at Jet 2, you used to have to get up at like 2 in the morning. It would be like a 4 till 4, 4 in the morning to 4 in the afternoon, or 4 in the afternoon to 4 at night, 4 on, 4 off. That was pretty much the rota. And so see if you weren't well, it sounds silly, but you'd get in your car and that's when you realise you weren't well, because you were up so early in a way. And basically I took not well going to work. It turned out I had food poisoning, so I had to turn back the car, come home. I was off work for 2 weeks, or just under 2 weeks. I'd actually took salmonella in the end. And it was all in my joints and things like that. Anyway, so my friend said, why don't you start a Facebook page? Now, I was totally against this, but in the end I gave in to it only if it would get called Christy's Readings, because nobody ever called me Christy. My name's Christina and most people refer to me as Tina. And I wouldn't put a photo of myself up. So we decided, right, we'll just put it up and I could do a few wee readings just to see how we got on. I read for a few people around in the local area. I'll never forget my very first reading. I'll not give too much away on it. It's not the lady I always say. There was someone before that lady. Oh my God, it was the worst reading of my life. Like, I just don't think she was interested. I was flatting, like I felt I was just paddling. And looking back now, I knew I was right. It was just because I'd got myself so worked up. I used to sit in my car and actually have a word with Spirit and say, please Spirit, don't let me down the night, please turn up. When in reality I should realise it was me giving the readings and not Spirit, but I'd get myself so worked up about it. Now eventually it started to do well, the page, aka we had 400 followers, so you can imagine when you've never had a page before, that's amazing. Like, it's even amazing now to most people. So then we decided that I would do a wee show. My friend was opening up a hairdresser, Sensei, Lorna, in Airdrie, and she said, for the opening night you could just do a wee psychic show. I did, and the funny thing is it sold out so quickly. I am so humble about this, but I've never arranged a show and it's not sold out. Like, I think I'd be devastated if it doesn't. That's why I've not got any plan for the near future. So I remember the night of the show going to it and standing in the back waiting to go out and thinking to myself, all the people are out there for me, and if I don't go out, it's just not going to happen. Like, until you're under that pressure, you'll never understand it. But that was the first moment that I realised, like, it's now all riding on me. It's now riding on the faith and the belief that I have in myself and my readings. The readings went well, but I had one reading in particular, and I'd say to the lady, have you lost your ring? And she'd said, yeah. And I said, you're going to find that in the next, just say, week, I think it was. And she was like, now this was the April. She's like, Christy, I lost the ring like way last year. Put it out on Facebook. Nobody could find it. She'd basically went in for surgery, and the ring had been lost when she came out of surgery. She couldn't find it, so they didn't know if it was at the hospital or put it on Facebook. Nobody knew anything about it. So I remember when she said it to me thinking, oh God, I've told her she's going to find that like in the next week or something, and it's been gone for so long. Moving on, we move. There's nothing I can do. I've got to give what I get. And I'll never forget, the next morning I went home that night and my page started to blow up a little bit because of the show, and people were writing me reviews and I had a reading and I was really happy with it and things like that. And then the next morning, I woke up at 7 in the morning to like 1,000 new followers. And that feeling was just out of this world. And it was because of validation. That lady went home that night and got a message through the night to say that a cleaner had found her ring and just came across the post on Facebook all of a sudden. She went the next morning, picked the ring up, took a photo of the ring, put it on Facebook, and it totally changed my business, changed everything about Christie's Reasons. I was so grateful to that lady forever. And I know who she is, Dawn. Big shout out to you and your lovely family. She'd went through a lot, but it just changed everything. That's when the page started growing into the thousands, and that's when I would say I started to get my belief a little bit, like this is real. And in October, I decided to give up my job at Jet2. Now, I'd love to say it was for the reason that I was loving the page and I was getting excited about it, but it really wasn't. I had registered Christie's Readings from the minute I started reading. I'm just a legit person, right? It's just me, right? Don't judge anybody else, it's just me. So I was really getting crippled with tax. It's unreal. So I had to make the decision and I decided to go with Christie's Readings. It was a no-brainer, to be fair, but I was really, really sad at leaving the airport, leaving Jet2, and just that type of job. I'd waited so long to have a job like that. But I did it, and when I think back now, I didn't even consider, I might not have money to pay my bills, didn't even consider it. Knew that was the time, right, you have to work hard, this is it, like it's now or never. When I look back to then to now, from that day forward, things have been so different in my life. For me as a person, it's changed me as a person massively. Now when I read, I don't doubt myself, never doubt myself. I never look for somebody's journey and think they seen ghosts when they were younger. Like, my twin would always tell me she seen ghosts. I never seen a thing. I never seen a dicky bird. Now I do, the odd time. It still scares me because it's a side of my job that I know I can do, but I'm still learning, and I don't push that side of it because I'm only 36. I feel I've got I hope I have a long time to get to know that side, and it's not affecting my readings in any way whatsoever. A lot of people say to me, how can you do it online? Would it not be better face to face for a better connection? It does not make a difference, and I've said it already on a live on Facebook and Instagram. I've already proved that. I get my validations on my lives when I'm speaking them out there, and then the client or whoever I'm speaking with or the follower will then come back and validate. I trust enough in my work to know it's not about physical being, it's about energy. It's when we do the online readings, that's text back and forth. You could text me a message and I'm already going to be able to vibe out where you're at in your head mood wise. Now, that's not came from going to classes to be psychic. It's intuition, it's believing in yourself. It's like I said, I left my job and didn't even know if my bills were going to be paid, and I just trusted enough in spirit. Not even in spirit, the reality is I trusted enough in myself. And even when I thought times were getting hard, I never once thought to myself that I was going to fail. And that's the key to everything that you do in life. I always get, do you have spirit guides? Yeah, of course I do, but just the same as everyone else. You can call on spirit at any time, your guardian angels, to help you. I think a lot of psychics would like you to believe that they're very powerful and they hold the key to everything. No, we don't. We're not any different. It's built into you. People will say, when did you know? The biggest question. I don't really know because it's always been there. It's natural. It's just until that day that I said to that lady with that passport that was the first indicator I thought, oh, wait a minute, I think I'm different. God's honest truth the whole day. Then I seen I shouldn't scare people, but I seen a ghost in Glasgow airport and I radioed down, panicking, thinking someone had jumped onto the aircraft. You can get sacked for that. You can get into a lot of trouble for that. And it turned out it was a ghost. And I went to a house that night and it was the lady's son. When I went in, there was a photo of him. So, and I clicked straight away. That was the little boy that I had seen run down and out the gate. I used to scare my colleagues terribly without meaning it, especially on night shifts. That's the only thing. I don't care about graveyards. Graveyards do not bother me. Hospitals are a nightmare. And now it makes sense. Before I knew I was psychic, why I fear hospitals so much. Hospitals is the worst. The worst. Graveyards, it's just your physical being. As I said already, like even doing the readings, this is nothing. This is just a vessel. It's all about your mind. When you do die, I think it's you lose, is it a pound, £2? and they say that's your soul leaving your body. I believe that. I strongly believe that. I will never know how I actually do this. I will never have a clear answer, and it's not because I'm hiding anything. I just genuinely don't know. One thing, I believe enough in myself. I believe enough in my work to know that when I'm doing readings, I'm trying to bring good to everyone and help people and do the right thing. A lot of people say, well, why do you charge for it then? Because I have 2 children, I'm running a business. And to be fair, other than my bookings for the readings, most of my revenue comes from social media, and it's not just doing readings, it's doing TikToks, everything. I've really made the most of what Chrissy's Readings has offered me. Chrissy's Readings is now 5.5 years old, or just over 5 years old. It's over at 90,000 followers on Facebook, and so on, and all the other platforms, Instagram, TikTok, Snapchat. I never dreamed that this would happen. But that's not down to being psychic, guys. That's down to the law of attraction. And that's where the psychic and the law of attraction tie in together. See, if you believe in yourself, you could make anything happen. I'm living proof of that. I hope you've enjoyed this. Remember, like, comment, subscribe. I hope you've enjoyed this. Again, it was just to cover any of the questions. I hope that gives you a better idea of Christy's Readings as a whole as well, and myself, and where we're at in this whole psychic journey. I hope you enjoy the rest of your Monday. Please stay safe, take care, ring the bell so you get a notification when we go live. And I am going to come live over on YouTube very, very soon, so please ring the bell because you will get that notification. Have a good day.